Everyone's talking about you. What you said was so deep, it sliced right through their soul. There is a reason this message found you today. Out of countless voices competing for attention, something guided you here. Deep inside, you have always carried a feeling that you were different. Not better than anyone, not above anyone, just different. Like an old soul walking through a world that often misunderstands quiet depth. For a long time, you tried to explain yourself. You tried to make others understand your heart. But many only saw the surface. They heard your words without hearing their meaning. They looked at your actions without seeing the journey behind them. Yet something changed recently. A truth left your lips. A simple sentence, a quiet observation, a moment of honesty. And somehow, that truth traveled farther than you realized. People are still thinking about it. People are still talking about it. Not because it was loud, but because it was real. The strange thing about deep truth is that it does not need to shout. It moves like a ripple across still water. Long after the words are spoken, the effect remains. You may not even remember exactly what you said, but someone does. In fact, more than one person does. Your words touched places inside them they usually keep hidden, places they avoid, places they protect behind masks and distractions. What surprised them was not the statement itself. What surprised them was how accurately it reflected something they were secretly feeling. Without trying to impress anyone, you held up a mirror. And when people see themselves clearly, they rarely forget it. That is why your presence has felt different lately. Conversations become quieter when you leave. Thoughts linger longer than expected. Questions begin appearing where certainty once lived. But that was only the beginning. Imagine standing beneath a night sky filled with stars after a long storm. The clouds finally separate, and for the first time, the light becomes visible again. That image reflects something happening within your own story. The difficult seasons you endured were not meaningless. Every disappointment, every misunderstanding, every lonely chapter shaped a wisdom that cannot be learned from comfort alone. The depth people feel when they hear you is not coming from knowledge. It is coming from experience. It is coming from the battles you survived when nobody was watching. And this is where your story becomes different. Because what people are discussing is not merely what you said. They are talking about the strength behind those words. They are wondering how someone who carried so much could still speak with such clarity. And there is something even deeper you need to understand. What many people never realized is that your silence taught you things their noise never could. While others rushed to be noticed, you were learning through observation. While others chased approval, you were quietly discovering what truly matters. That is why the words that came from you carried a different weight. They were not borrowed opinions. They were not repeated ideas. They were truths shaped by experience. And when truth comes from experience, people feel it before they even understand it. Somewhere, someone replayed your words again and again in their mind. They tried to dismiss them. They tried to move on. Yet something about them refused to fade. The deeper they reflected, the more they realized that your message was speaking to something they had been avoiding within themselves. For a long time, you may have felt invisible. You may have wondered whether your kindness mattered, whether your struggles had meaning, or whether anyone truly saw the person behind your smile. Those thoughts often appear during life's quietest nights. They arrive when the world becomes still and the heart begins asking difficult questions. But there is something important you need to remember. The strongest trees grow through seasons of wind and rain. The brightest sunrise appears after the darkest hours before dawn. In the same way, the challenges you faced were shaping a strength that could not be built any other way. People sense that strength now. Even when you say very little, they feel it. Even when you walk away, the impact remains. What happened next changed everything. If this message is touching something inside your heart, take a moment and write the words, "I trust my journey," in the comments. Sometimes a simple affirmation becomes a reminder of how far you have already come. And if there is someone who needs encouragement today, consider sharing this message with them. You never know whose spirit may be lifted by the words you almost kept to yourself. Because the truth is, your story is not only about survival, it is about transformation. The version of you that once doubted everything is slowly giving way to a version that understands their own worth. Yet there is one mystery that remains. The conversations happening around you are revealing something far bigger than anyone expected. And what they are beginning to discover may explain why you always felt different in the first place. There are moments in life when a person unknowingly becomes a turning point in someone else's story. Not through power, not through status, not through recognition, simply through authenticity. That is what many people are beginning to realize about you. The words that left your heart carried something rare in today's world. They carried honesty. And honesty has a way of reaching places that polished speeches never can. Somewhere, people expected you to remain quiet. They expected you to continue carrying your wisdom in silence. Yet when you finally spoke from a deeper place within yourself, something shifted. The assumptions they once held about you began to fall apart. They started seeing a side of you they had overlooked for far too long. Think about a mountain standing firm through every season. Storms come and go, winds rise and fade, snow covers its surface and then disappears. Yet the mountain remains. In many ways, your journey has been similar. Life tested you repeatedly. There were seasons when you felt forgotten. There were moments when your kindness seemed unnoticed. There were days when your heart carried questions that nobody else could answer. Yet despite everything, you kept moving forward. You kept growing. And that quiet perseverance created a depth that cannot be imitated. People sense it now. They may not always know how to explain it, but they feel it. They recognize that your strength was not built in easy moments. It was forged during the times when giving up would have been easier than continuing. And this is where the story becomes even more meaningful. The conversations surrounding you are no longer only about what you said. They are about what your life represents. Your journey reminds people that pain does not have to become bitterness, that disappointment does not have to destroy hope, that being misunderstood does not mean being without value. Like the first light breaking through a long night, your presence quietly challenges the darkness around you. Not because you are perfect, but because you have learned how to keep your heart open despite everything it has endured. There is something powerful about that lesson, something timeless. And there is one final layer of this message that has been waiting to reveal itself. Because the reason your words touched so many hearts may be connected to a truth your own heart has been trying to remember all along. The truth your heart has been trying to remember is simpler than you think. You were never meant to become someone else in order to be accepted. For years, there may have been pressure to fit into expectations that never truly belonged to you. Pressure to think a certain way, act a certain way, or hide parts of yourself to make others comfortable. Yet every time you drifted too far from who you really were, something inside you felt restless. That feeling was not weakness, it was a reminder, a quiet signal guiding you back toward your authentic self. And now, as people reflect on your words and your presence, they are responding to the very thing you once felt tempted to hide. They are responding to your truth. Imagine walking through an ancient forest at dawn. The world is silent except for the sound of your footsteps. The trees stand tall, untouched by the need for approval. They do not compete with one another. They simply grow according to their nature. There is wisdom in that image. The strongest parts of your journey began when you stopped measuring your worth through the opinions of others. Little by little, you started listening to your own inner voice. You started trusting your instincts. You started realizing that your value was never determined by how many people understood you. And that realization changed everything. Because when a person finally stands in their truth, they give others permission to do the same. That is why the impact of your words continues to spread long after they were spoken. They reminded people of something they had forgotten within themselves. They reminded them that authenticity carries more power than performance, that sincerity reaches farther than perfection, that a single honest moment can influence a heart more deeply than years of pretending. The conversations happening around you are not really about one sentence or one idea. They are about the courage hidden inside that moment, the courage to be real, the courage to remain kind after hardship, the courage to keep believing in light after walking through darkness. And what you are about to understand next may reveal why every difficult chapter of your life was preparing you for this exact realization. Have you ever looked back on an old chapter of your life and suddenly understood why it had to happen? Not while you were living through it, but years later when the pieces finally connected. Your journey carries that same pattern. So many moments that once felt confusing now seem to point toward a deeper lesson. The rejection taught you self-respect. The loneliness taught you self-discovery. The setbacks taught you patience. Even the people who misunderstood you played a role in helping you recognize your own value. Nothing about the path was easy, yet each experience added another layer to the wisdom you now carry. And the remarkable thing is that people can feel that wisdom without you ever speaking about your past. There is a quiet confidence growing within you. It does not demand attention. It does not seek validation. It simply exists. Like the ocean beneath a calm sky, its strength runs deeper than what appears on the surface. This is why your words affect people differently now. They are no longer hearing someone searching for approval. They are hearing someone who has learned from life, someone who understands both loss and hope, someone who knows what it means to keep moving forward when the road feels uncertain. That energy cannot be faked. It cannot be copied. It can only be earned through experience. And when people encounter it, something inside them awakens. They begin questioning old beliefs. They begin seeing possibilities they once ignored. They begin wondering whether they too can rise beyond their limitations. But there is something even more beautiful taking place. As people talk about you, reflect on your words, and remember your presence, they are unknowingly becoming part of your healing as well. Because every meaningful connection reminds you that your voice matters. Every life you touch reminds you that your story has purpose. Every moment of understanding helps replace old doubts with new confidence. The truth is, you were never as invisible as you thought. You were simply growing beneath the surface, like a seed preparing for its season to bloom. And there is one final truth waiting just ahead, a truth that may change the way you see yourself forever. Because the greatest impact you have made is not on other people. It is on the person you have slowly become. The greatest transformation in your story was never meant to happen around you. It was meant to happen within you. For so long, you measured progress by external signs. You looked for proof that things were changing. You searched for evidence that your efforts mattered. Yet the most important growth was taking place where no one could see it. It happened in the quiet moments when you chose hope over despair. It happened when you forgave without receiving an apology. It happened when you continued moving forward despite carrying disappointments that could have easily made you stop. Those decisions shaped the person you are today. They built a strength that does not depend on circumstances. They created a peace that cannot be taken away by the opinions of others. Think about the first light of sunrise after a long night. The darkness does not disappear all at once. It fades gradually as the horizon begins to glow. Your journey has followed a similar rhythm. The healing did not arrive in a single moment. The understanding did not appear overnight. Little by little, clarity entered places that once felt lost. Little by little, old wounds stopped defining your future. Little by little, you discovered that resilience is not about never falling. It is about finding the courage to rise again and again. This is the lesson hidden beneath everything people are saying about you. They are recognizing the strength that emerged from your challenges. They are seeing the light that survived despite the darkness. And whether they realize it or not, that light inspires them. There is one final truth your heart has always known. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by how you responded to it. The storms were real. The struggles were real. The disappointments were real. But so is your courage. So is your growth. So is the wisdom you gained along the way. That is why your words touched so many people. They carried the voice of someone who refused to let hardship close their heart. And as this chapter comes to a close, remember this. Your story is still being written. There are new sunrises ahead, new lessons waiting to be discovered, and new reasons to believe in yourself. The path forward may not always be clear, but you already carry everything you need to keep walking it. And in the end, that quiet strength within you may be the most powerful message of all. Before this message fades, there is one last reflection your soul may need to hear. Sometimes the reason people continue talking about you has nothing to do with popularity or attention. It is because authenticity is unforgettable. In a world where many people hide behind masks, your willingness to remain genuine leaves a lasting impression. Even when you felt unnoticed, your actions were creating ripples. Even when you doubted yourself, your character was speaking louder than you realized. The kindness you offered, the patience you showed, and the wisdom you gained through hardship became part of a story much larger than you could see at the time. Picture a traveler standing at the edge of a mountain as the morning sun rises across the horizon. The path behind is long and filled with memories. Some are beautiful, some are painful, yet every step contributed to the view now unfolding before them. Your life carries the same symbolism. Nothing was wasted, not the lessons, not the tears, not the waiting, not even the moments when you questioned whether you were strong enough to continue. Each chapter added depth to your spirit. Each challenge revealed a strength that had been hidden inside you all along. And now, when people remember your words, they are really responding to the journey that gave those words meaning. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to chase validation. You do not need to become someone else to deserve peace, love, or belonging. The same light that carried you through difficult seasons still exists within you today. Trust it, listen to it, follow it, because your story is not a story of defeat. It is a story of growth, resilience, and quiet transformation. And if this message found you at the right moment, take a deep breath and remember, you are not alone, your journey has meaning, and your best chapters are still waiting to be written. And perhaps this is the part nobody expected. The people who continue talking about you are not only remembering what you said, they are remembering how you made them feel. Long after conversations end, emotions remain. Long after words disappear, their meaning continues to echo through the heart. That is why your presence has stayed in their thoughts. You reminded them of something real, something honest, something they had almost forgotten in a world filled with distractions. Without trying to, you became a reminder that depth still exists, that sincerity still matters, and that wisdom often arrives through the quietest voices. There was a time when you may have viewed your sensitivity as a burden. You felt things deeply. You noticed things others overlooked. You carried questions that many people never stopped long enough to ask. But those qualities were never weaknesses. They were gifts waiting to be understood. The same heart that felt pain deeply also developed compassion. The same mind that questioned everything also discovered deeper truths. The same spirit that endured difficult seasons also learned how to recognize beauty in unexpected places. Like stars becoming visible only after darkness arrives, some of your greatest strengths could only be revealed through the challenges you faced. So if you ever wonder why your words touch so many hearts, remember this. It was never about saying the perfect thing. It was about speaking from a place of truth. People recognize that truth because they are searching for it themselves. And as you continue your journey, do not underestimate the impact of simply being yourself. The world needs more authenticity, more kindness, more courage, and more hearts willing to remain open despite everything they have endured. Keep walking your path. Keep trusting your growth. Keep believing that your story matters. Because somewhere ahead, another person may find hope through the very strength you once had to discover within yourself.